All right, guys, I'm posting an update here on the progress that's been made since the last video. Since that time, the footers were poured, and then the stem wall was put up. After the footers got laid out, got inspected and poured, the team came back and did the concrete block. It took them about maybe about 3-4 hours to do all of this block work here. I'll show you a view on the top side, but it's just it's more of a U shape on the downside of the building. Once the blocks were up, they came back and didn't need an inspection for this, but they actually poured the cells in the stem wall. So you can kind of see here the concrete block along this way, the rebar's poking out. Each one of those were poured. Kind of from what I've read and what I've heard is that typically they just pour the where the rebar is. In this case, for whatever reason, the architect and the plans for this building called for a solid stem wall, so that every single part of the stem wall is solid, filled with concrete, making it extra strong. So after that was poured and cured, what I had come in was I had a dirt guy come in to bring in the foundation sand. And so you can see some piles there with my dog walking along. They brought in probably about 6 or 7 loads of foundation sand to build up for the location where the slab's going to be. Prior to doing that, the plans called for foam and a vapor barrier being put up against the concrete wall. I'm not exactly sure why that was put. I think it's more, I'm not exactly sure why in Florida that's was put up. It seems to be something more common up north for basements and preventing condensation. So it might have been a mistake by the architect. Again, it was probably about $500 worth of foam and vapor barrier that I had to do. It took me about a couple hours to put it in place and line the vapor barrier. I used some contractor glue to hold the foam in place before the sand was put in. And kind of the main reason I did it was because since the bottom of the there's my dog losing his shit on the sand. Since the sand is above the block and the top of the slab is going to be about 12 inches above the the stem wall block, I ended up putting the foam in place just as a good way to retain the dirt, so the dirt can be built up. So since the 4 inches slab, the full slab is 4 inches thick, the sand's going to be about 8 inches above the block, and so I put the foam in place to really help retain that dirt versus having a tapering function, just make life easier. And it's actually it worked really well. I mean, you can kind of see here it's holding the dirt pretty well. So again, had the 7 loads brought in, and the dirt guy came in and started loading it and compacting it. One of the issues that we ran into as we did this was my soil had some clay in it, not super thick gumbo clay, but it was definitely clay-y. And so we actually went through and trenched out along the perimeter where the footer's going to be on these back sides over here. We trenched out maybe about 3 feet deep and maybe about 3 feet wide, and you can kind of see the residue of these clayish dirt piles over there that were just pulled out for the main purpose of wanting to fill that in with pure foundation sand. And so once that was trenched out, we filled those all in with sand. There's probably about 1 or 2 loads of dirt in total that had to go and fill that in, and then we went in and filled the rest in with this nice foundation sand and had it compacted. Once that was complete, had a compaction test. A guy came out, I think in Florida you required over 95% compaction. It was they measured 4 times each one over 97%. I did run a sprinkler over the weekend, which really helped break down some of the sand particles and help solidify the dirt. And then just yesterday, my concrete guy came back and he put up the forms on the outside of the slab. So you can kind of see here, that's the top of the wood over there is going to be the height of the slab. So the forms are up, and it was ready for plumbing. On the plans, it calls for 2 plumbing, the sewage outlet and plumbing inlet over here. I decided to scrap it, mainly because just how it's going to run to the sewage tank off in the distance over there. And since we're not going to have any plumbing on the first floor, it's all going to be on the second floor. I decided to change how I'm going to do the plumbing, not do it through the slab. And I'm gonna just run it through the ceiling and out to the side of the wall down there. So alleviate that concern. Got a termite treatment which is required. That they're coming tomorrow to spray for the termites, and then the concrete guy is going to finish digging the footers and leveling the sand. And so my hope is, so today's Thursday. Plan right now is that after the termite spray tomorrow morning, concrete guys are going to finish putting up the rebar and the vapor barrier on the slab and finish grading and leveling it. And then they're going to the pre-foundation inspection scheduled for Monday. And so I'm not sure if rain or anything else like that has an effect, but if we pass on Monday, my anticipation is that the slab will be done on Tuesday, and I'll post an update once that's complete. So thanks again, guys. I'll leave a finishing shot with my my pit bull warrior dog scratching his back and enjoying the dirt that he gets to roll in all day. So all right, guys, thanks again, and post an update soon.